So let's have a look at some of the effects of attachment then. We make bad parenting choices. So one common example of this, in fact this is an example that's been given to me by other parents, is catering to the child's likes and dislikes in order to get affection. And this is also an example that has been given to me by kids, adult children. One particular person I know, and her father's relatively wealthy, and she said she was always kind of frustrated when it came round to things like birthdays. Not always, occasionally she was frustrated, especially in her later teen years, because the father was used to giving these gifts and getting the affection. And as she actually studies Vedanta, as she got into sort of 18 to 20 years old, she'd get gifts and she could see the father's expectation of, come on, give it up, give me the smile, give me the love, and she felt constrained and constricted. So the parenting choice here is that I'm going to cater to your likes and dislikes because then I will get the affection back. And so we allow the child to do what it wants to do so that we can have what we call harmony within the relationship, lack of friction. And so what we're doing there is not looking at what's best for the child, because it could be that in that particular example what's best for the child is a clear boundary. No, I'm not going to give you that. But instead what we're thinking of is, I really don't want the conflict. Why do we avoid conflict? Why do we cater to likes and dislikes? Because of something that I am getting out of it. So we make bad choices. Bad parenting choices means that they're not directed towards the best interest of the child. Another example of this is helicopter parenting and bulldozer parenting. What's helicopter parenting?
Around them all the time.
Hovering, micromanaging.
Yeah.
Yep. What's bulldozer parenting? That's getting everything out of the way to make it easy. Bulldozer parenting is basically getting rid of all of the challenges so that the child has a clear runway into education and career and everything else. Now, of course, from the parent's perspective, again, it feels like this beautiful expression of love. But we fail to recognize that without going through the challenges and pushing through them, the child won't develop maturity, autonomy, resilience. No one develops resilience without going through challenges in life. So the analogy, in fact, there's a book called The Coddling of the American Mind. And the analogy that's given in that book, he's talking about this phenomenon, is to say that imagine your home, you have a disinfectant and you disinfect your entire home and it's 100% bug-free. What happens to your child? You get a little bit of bugs on your fingers, in your mouth, and it strengthens the immune system so that when you go to your friend's house, you have a strong immune system and you can handle whatever the bugs are there. If you don't strengthen the immune system, you're more susceptible to infection. So too, if we don't go through challenges, we don't develop that psychological immune system, and then when we go into the real world, which doesn't really care about the individual so much, we don't have the psychological immune system to cope with even the smallest challenge. And so this book, The Coddling of the American Mind, was written based upon their experiences at colleges. They were saying that we are seeing in the colleges students who cannot handle even talking about confronting ideas. You can't talk about racism, you can't talk about sexism, you can't talk about sexual abuse, you can't talk about violence, you can't talk about all of these things that you need to be confronted with because I'm triggered. So there's got to be a balance. Of course, we put warnings on films so that we know the content is going to be graphic. That makes sense. But we should not protect children from the natural sort of challenges that life is going to throw at us. The other problem with this is that we develop entitlement. If I've always been given everything, then that's the attitude that I start to adopt. Well, keep giving. I was always given everything. I should keep getting right. And so the problem is that we take that attitude that we developed, say, in the home, and we take it everywhere we go, into our romantic relationships, we take it into our workplace, we take it into our politics, we take it into everywhere. I deserve, I feel like I do. I've always been given what I wanted, so I should always get what I want. And when these attitudes grow up into adult humans and they start to run our society, everybody suffers. So the other example that we give here is the college admissions scandal. So we don't need to go too much into what that is, we all know what it is. But there's a really interesting quote here. Now this is coming from a limited TV series from about over a decade ago. It retells the story of Jack and the Beanstalk, but it gives the real story. And in the real story, part of it was that Jack's mother was the one who encouraged him to go and steal the goose and steal the eggs and steal the harp and all of the good stuff, to kill the giant and so on and so forth. And she's weeping at the end, and she recognizes the error of her ways, and she said, why did you do this? And this was the quote that she said: "My crime, perhaps the greatest of them all, a mother's love, that terrible, overwhelming desire to be proud of one's sons." Why did she get her son to commit those crimes? So that he could be successful, so that she could feel proud of his success. What causes otherwise intelligent individuals to break legal and moral boundaries, lying, cheating, bribery, corruption, to get their kids into college? Attachment. I want to get the reflected glory of my son's, my daughter's success. Attachment.